Hey, it's Tyler, host of the Tyler Knows Everything podcast, where the nose is crossed out because I always want to learn more. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Taiku Drain for the studio rental costs, Roxanne and Eric Hellberg for the HD camcorders, and my first ever patron on Patreon, my good friend Mark McKee. You too can support this podcast for as little as $5 at www.patreon.com/Tyler Knows Everything. My guest today is super interesting and highly intelligent. I've always been fascinated by the company culture of Bill Clark Pest Control, and you wouldn't think, but for a trade like that has a lot of high turnover, they've got people there that have been there for 2 decades and 3 decades, in the same spot. They're one of the only exterminators that I know that has a full-time PhD entomologist on staff. So please welcome Barry Bryant.
Tyler
knows
everything.
Try this. I'll just have to yank on it if it keeps on fluid. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I always enjoy the early guests because that's my best time of the day to perform. Maybe you like waking up early?
Oh yeah, I do. Mine's clear.
Yeah, for sure. First part of your day. I wanted to bring you on because I've always been fascinated by the culture of your company that you work for at Bill Clark Bugsperts. It's an pest control extermination company.
Right.
And it seems like in those type of service industries, sometimes you see a lot of high turnover, but I've always noticed that at your company, you have people that have been there 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, maybe even 30 years. Like what are some of the longest?
Sure, we have, I've been there for 24 years, and I'm one of the lower guys on the totem pole.
Wow.
As far as management staff, yeah, we've got 4 guys that's been there for 30 plus years, 36, 37 years, working with our team.
And how old is the company itself?
We were started in 1957 by a man by the name of Bill Clark, and Bill Clark is actually still alive today. As you know, he was bought out in 2018 by an employee.
Right.
Yeah, Josh Smith bought the company in 2018, worked for the company for 19 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill Clark.
And he's still a young man.
Oh, yeah, he still is. Josh is 37. Kind of a neat story. Josh started with the company when he was in high school, driving one of our mosquito trucks. Stayed here in town, went to Lamar University, worked with our company. Still continue to drive a mosquito truck and do a lot of odds and end things around the office. He graduated from Lamar. He wanted to stay here, and he approached Mr. Clark and our general manager at the time and expressed his interest in staying in Beaumont. And he put him over our Orange office. We have a branch office in Orange, and he grew that office by leaps and bounds and really proved himself. And then the decision was made to mentor under Mr. Clark for about 5 years was kind of the plan that was laid out.
Right. And
after that, we became 60 years old. Mr. Clark was 85 years old, still healthy, extremely healthy.
Wow, so he's almost 90?
Yeah, he's 87 right now. Yeah.
Nice.
And still healthy and still comes around the office. But so Josh purchased the company then, but a little backstory on Bill Clark. He's not from here.
Okay.
He's an Aggie, went to Texas A&M University.
So he got a degree in entomology.
He sure did. Yeah, he got his bachelor's degree in entomology and sought out an area. He's from a town called Ben Wheeler, Texas. You might have heard of it, up around Tyler, Longview area.
Yeah. Okay.
Sought out an area that needed an extermination company and found Beaumont had a weakness there. Never even been here.
So was it kind of a one-man operation?
It was a two-man operation. Yeah, him and another man came down here together and opened it up and got it going. And soon thereafter, Bill Clark bought him out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and, it's been Bill Clark Bugspert, kind of our nickname. We're the experts in killing bugs for, now 63 years.
Yeah, I heard a story that he used to do when he was by himself. Pretty much he would do sales calls in the morning and then service calls in the afternoon.
He sure would. He would change uniforms at lunch and put on his dirty rags and go out and climb under houses and do termite work and pest control and wildlife services and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just to get it going.
Why do you think people have been there for multiple decades? 2 decades, 3 decades.
Mr. Clark, being an Aggie, the integrity that Aggies carry, I really believe has really culminated our culture and driven our culture to be a good place to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun place to work. There's never a day that's the same. The insect world and the pest world is really fickle. Weather and climate and we have all types of weather here, so
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it makes every day a challenge, and again, the culture that he has laid out it's been contagious, I would say, because we have family members that work for us, brothers and sisters, husband and wives. Josh is our owner of our company. His dad is one of our service managers and been with us for 30 plus years. So we have a lot of that. A lot of family, and it's a family type atmosphere. So I would say that's probably one of the number one things is our retention of our staff.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things that are exciting every day and unexpected, I recently found out that all of a sudden bedbugs are a problem now, and that was kind of like a thing of the past. And
Sure.
it almost seemed like we eradicated them for a while there, and now they're back.
Yeah, they are. They're back in full force. Back in the little story on them, back in the 50s or so, they were virtually eradicated. They were eradicated by means of application of products and types of products that were available. And I say application, the ways of applying materials. Just surface spraying all of mattresses and pretty much spray and pray, is what we kind of said. You spray to everything. We can't do that now. The labels of our products, which were heavily regulated by the Texas Department of Agriculture and the EPA and so forth, we can't do that. So in any case, they were eradicated. They made a resurgence about 15 years ago, and why is kind of the phenomenon that we ask and wonder. And there's things that we speculate, and there's things that we know. There's a lot of worldwide travel, There's a lot of people that are coming into our country from all parts of the world. When they go on vacation, where do they go? They go back home, and then they bring things back. We take exotic vacations. We go on cruises, not to deter anyone from going on vacation or cruises, but we go to everywhere. We go to all different places of the world. We go to third world countries. We do a lot of humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
And not to say that we should ever stop doing that, because what we do as a country is so great for other countries. We help one another. But
I guess we're all sharing hotel rooms. Right.
You're exactly right.
And usually you see when you check in at 3 o'clock and check out at 11, and then it starts all over again the next day. You see them wash the sheets, you see them clean the room, but do they always change the comforter?
Yeah, that's a big question, isn't it?
We don't know. Sometimes maybe.
Yeah, and they are deemed as one of the world's greatest hitchhiker. So they crawl into your luggage.
Yeah.
Sanitation really doesn't have a whole lot to do with it, because if they crawl into your luggage and you bring them home,
right,
now they're at home.
Yeah, because usually when I go to a hotel room, I take my luggage and maybe there's a sofa in the hotel. I throw it on the sofa.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else did that too.
Exactly. Yeah, or that little stand right next to the dresser. That's an area.
Yeah. How often does that get washed? Never.
Never. We tell people the best place to store your luggage in a hotel room is in the bathtub.
Oh, yeah. I never thought of that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, because when you're a toddler, your parents say, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. And you're like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh, that's just something you say. It's like a nursery rhyme, because we won't have that anymore. Well, now we have that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. The old myth of the wives' tale or nursery rhyme, sleep tight. The beds were, the bottoms of the bed had ropes that held the mattresses up. So the sleep tight came from tightening those ropes up so your mattress doesn't sag. So your mattress doesn't sag, it doesn't touch the floor. So the bed bugs could use it as a bridge to get up to the mattress. That's where the sleep tight came from.
Oh, I didn't know that part either.
Yeah. So it don't let the bed bugs bite, you know. We hear that a lot, but it's true. They're here. We began to see about 10 years ago where we received phone calls, about weekly or so. And now they're every day. And
every day,
every day.
Wow.
Multiple calls every day. And we see them in homes. We see them in high occupancy places, of course. Your assisted living homes or nursing homes, hotels, places like that, apartments. We see them there. But not only do we see them there, we see them where people go. We see them in shopping places because there's people. There's lots of people, and there's chairs, and there's sofas. We see them in ambulances because they transfer people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we see them in movie theaters because there's lots of people. We see them wherever there are people. Never to discourage your listeners to not do anything and be afraid. There are certain tips that you can do to help avoid them.
There's another pest that I didn't know about until maybe this past summer, and it was crazy ants.
Yeah, they are crazy. Yeah, they're called a raspberry crazy ant. Excuse me. They have now taken on a common name called a tawny ant. The raspberry came from a gentleman by the name of Tom Raspberry, just right down the road from us in Alvin, Texas. He discovered this weird invasive species of an ant in an account that is very huge and near and dear to his heart. He services NASA over there, and these things are highly attracted to warm electronic devices and so forth, and to have those types of ants penetrate an area like NASA would be detrimental.
Because apparently they don't have a mound or a
exactly. Yeah, they don't live underground. They don't forage through the soil. They live on top of the ground, and there's literally trillions and trillions, and they forage for far and wide. And one thing we know about ants is they don't see and they don't sleep. The longer they're there, the more they reproduce. The more they reproduce, the further they can forage.
Yeah, it's like, I think the problem with residential was they were getting into people's air conditioning units that are a little bit more electronic nowadays, and they have circuit boards, and they were just, what do they do? Do they eat it? Or
they just clump together in such mass that they short circuit it out.
Gotcha.
A big concern for us is that we service about 90% of the petrochemical plants here in Southeast Texas. Just about every one of them, basically. So a very, very huge concern for us to protect those places from the invasion of the raspberry crazy ants, because if they short circuit a unit out and a unit goes down, you may be talking $1 million an hour of production. So a big concern for us.
Yeah. What about bats?
Yeah, bats kind of fall within our WSS department, we call it. It's our Wildlife and Specialty Services, and it's a service where we provide. We've got specialists in this field that deal with our larger animals. The Mexican free-tailed bat is the bat that we deal with in our area here. Couple that with things that we don't really think about, but can become a nuisance. They get in your house, raccoons. Possums. They get up into attics and structures and commercial buildings and warehouses and can be quite a nuisance.
Yeah. One day I was working in the garage, and I had the ladder down for my attic, and a stray cat got up there, and I had to lure him out with a can of tuna.
Did you? Yeah. Wow.
But it worked.
It worked? Really?
Yeah.
We're hiring, Tyler.
I was scared because I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to find this cat in the attic insulation, and it's going to die up there.
Yeah.
It's going to stink.
Well, good job.
But I was able to get him out of there.
Yeah. So, the other ones, the occasional ones that we deal with are skunks, your snakes. We've since acquired a plant that's under construction right now, where we've had to subcontract out an alligator hunter to remove the alligators. And this gentleman we're working with, we're so grateful for, is that he's retrieving the alligators and he's relocating them to a safer place.
Yeah, because they get into the retention ponds.
Exactly,
sometimes.
exactly. Kind of freaks people out.
Yeah. And there's probably two that I don't like, and that's snakes and spiders.
Yeah, people have phobias of those. Yeah, the spiders there's thousands of species of spiders we deal with here. What do spiders eat? Spiders eat other insects. So,
Yeah.
and the insect pressure in southeast Texas is so great. We've got the heat, moisture, and humidity that insects need to survive and thrive. So we've got a heavy population of spiders. Spiders are a difficult pest to control. There's really not a residual product that we can come out and spray a structure down and go, poof, you're not going to have a problem ever. It's keeping the webbing down, keeping the other insect population down, keeping your, lighting is a big thing around structures because lights draw insects. Spiders are going to go where the insects are. So they're tough. There's a lot of, there are materials that we use, but we also try to use a lot of common sense and say, to determine why are these here and what can we do to reduce their population.
Have you seen the people on Facebook that take a picture of a snake and then they want someone on Facebook to identify the snake, and you see about 30 comments and about 30 different types of snake?
Yeah, I see that a lot. I see that. And being a bug guy, I get the inbox messages all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I get the knock on the front door from my neighbor with a pest in a bag. Hey,
yeah,
Barry,
just
what
like
is this?
You have a friend that's a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer, they constantly get that free information.
Sure. And, I don't mind it because I do the same thing. My car's not running right, so I call my mechanic and share a video with him. What is this what's this noise I'm hearing? Or, because I know they'd return the favor. Yeah.
And one thing that you have that's unique is a full-time PhD doctor, entomologist on staff.
Yeah, his name is Dr. Bart Foster. Another Aggie came to us by way of Texas A&M University, and he studied entomology, and just a neat guy to have because we deal with some unique pest offerings. We never know what we're going to come across here. Lots of invasive species coming into southeast Texas. An example, raspberry crazy ant. What are these things? What's their biologies? What's their control methods? What do we do to combat these things to help people? We're the Bugsperts. We're supposed to know that.
Yeah.
Bedbugs, another thing. So it's neat to have him on staff that he's either heard of them and or done research on them, or he's on top of it as well. So he's also our technical safety director as well, where he does all of our training. He puts on our monthly training meetings at our office for our entire team. A very sharp man, been in the industry for a long, long time, and we're blessed to have him.
Yeah, it's definitely a differentiator from other companies that may not have the wealth of knowledge of having a PhD entomologist on staff, full time.
I think we're the only one around.
Yeah. I think that's the only one that I've heard of.
Yeah.
And what do you think about tying into that company culture of having those frequent meetings? Like you manage a kind of a sales staff.
Sure.
And how often do you meet with your team and try to get everybody either lined out with a goal or on the same page, or with the company as a whole, having the trainings, you said weekly or monthly?
Sure. Yeah, we have monthly training meetings for our entire team. I sales staff, there's me and there's 5 salesmen and 2 assistants, and we meet every day. We have morning meetings every day, and we talk about our day. We talk about pest pressures of the month or what's happening. We talk about what's hot. We talk about what's new, what's coming. We talk about control methods. We have a very, very neat team. Lots of neat dynamics within us, from older to younger. So we meet weekly. Our entire staff meets on a monthly basis, and we talk about things, particularly safety. Safety is a big thing in our industry. Everything from driving to safety using ladders to safeties working up high. We're inside the petrochemical plants on a daily basis. Safety is crucial, so we talk a lot about safety. We talk about training as well. We talk about the upcoming pest pressures that are forthcoming. An example, subterranean termites are going to begin swarming here. Mm-hmm. Actually, they swarmed over the weekend. When they start swarming, people are alerted that, hey, I got something happening in my home. So, you know, we actually have a training meeting tomorrow morning. We'll be talking about subterranean termites, habits, biologies, control methods, even down to how to communicate with the client.
Mm-hmm. Does it change what you have to do when you have a mild winter like we did now? Because we're not even out of February yet, and I think it's going to be 75 today.
Yeah.
So does that give you a longer season?
You know, Tyler, we've been trying to predict that forever, and it's never ever the same.
Oh, okay.
You know, we never understand what pests are going to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of science behind it, and some of it's above me, you know.
Because typically they're supposed to go dormant in cold climates, right?
They don't go dormant, they slow down.
Okay.
They slow down their reproductive cycle, you know. Gotcha. And especially with termites, they're not swarming in the colder months, but when we hit spring and we start warming up a little bit. But you know, talking about mosquitoes and trying to predict what they're going to do for the year, because we have a fleet of, I believe it's 9 mosquito trucks that run in municipalities, that run, and I say run, that are fogging
right
inside the petrochemical plants to try to keep the adult population down. But trying to predict it is, you know, you're talking about rain, then you start talking about wind, the tide, where's it going, when's it coming in, when's it going out. These are things that affect the mosquito population.
Okay.
So some of it is unpredictable, though we think, well, we've received so much rain, we're going to start, we call it mosquito juice.
Yeah. Because that's where they're reproducing,
exactly,
right?
Exactly, on top of water, exactly. So we've never really predicted it. We somewhat have an idea. When we start getting into repetitive days of warmth, you know, we can pretty much predict. Hopefully the subterranean termites are going to begin swarming real soon.
Yeah. Any other pests that are native to this area that you can think of?
Oh, you know, the one that really just scares everyone is just the common household roach that we see.
Yeah.
You know, these are the smoky browns and the American cockroach. Those are your bigger ones that have wings and that fly.
Yeah.
That come out of trees. And
everybody's brave until the cockroach starts flying.
Exactly. So, you know, we have that, and that they will forever be here. That to fire ants, right now, fire ants are really mounding right now because of the extreme amount of rain we've had and the cold weather. So they're building up their mounds up out of the damp, moist soil, and they're bringing their brood up towards the top. They use those as galleries, the mound galleries of them, to allow the sun to heat their young. So they're very unsightly. We take them for granted, I believe. We, as Southeast Texans, have become it's quite a normalcy that we see fire ant mounds. You know, what do? We leave them there, kick them, walk around them, or mow over them. Yeah, you know. But when we get into a playground setting at a daycare facility, you know, we take them very seriously. If they mound up against an assisted living place or a medical facility where people are ill and they can forage inside, we take them very, very seriously. They are a very dangerous pest that we deal with. We deal with a lot of dangerous pests. Again, that we as Southeast Texans, I believe, have somewhat of a normalcy to your flying, stinging insects, your bees, wasps, and hornets.
Yeah, and there's a friend of mine he's kind of, I guess, maybe on the other end of the spectrum, where he tries to retrieve the bees and relocate them.
Yeah, and we like those guys. They're the beekeepers. When we do get calls for honeybees, we try to be friendly. Yeah. You know, we have a list of my 2 assistants that I work with have a list of 11 different beekeepers in our area that we'll refer them to.
Oh, that's good.
From residential to commercial properties to even industrial facilities. We refer them to them.
But some of them, like hornets and wasps, they're just out there to bite you and
Yeah,
sting you.
they're there. Yeah, and and I always tell people, don't try to be the hero. Don't get. We've all done it. Tried to get a water hose and spray the nest. It doesn't work. They'll end up chasing you, and they bring their cousins with them.
Yeah, for sure.
So get a professional. Get a professional. We have bee suits that we put on where we're protected from head to toe, that we can help you, and it's a lot cheaper than a copay at the hospital. So.
Yeah. Have you seen the guys on YouTube that take the molten aluminum and pour it into an ant mound?
Yeah,
And it goes underground?
fascinating?
And you see how big it goes. It's almost like an iceberg.
Yeah.
You see a little mound on top and it goes down. Really, really intricate.
Yeah, that is neat. That's probably a study that we ought to try to do here. We've not done that, but that is a neat concept that they do and share with us.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Pardon me, I'm weird. I drink coffee out of a straw.
That's good for your teeth.
My dentist told me that helps keep my teeth white. So
yeah. I haven't used a straw, but I didn't start drinking until about 2 years ago, drinking coffee.
Right.
And so I'm behind trying to catch up.
Yeah.
But early mornings, that's a good way to start your day there.
Oh, indeed.
Well, I was going to try to backtrack a little bit on your history of kind of how you got to where you are now and rising up through the ranks of sales and marketing and things you learned along the way that may have helped you out.
Sure. Yeah, born and raised here, went to Kelly High School, went to Lamar, came out of school and worked for a couple different companies in corporate America and just not sure what I wanted to do. My last job, believe it or not, I was a collector for Ford Motor Credit, a great company, but collecting and was just not my forte.
Yeah, you probably wanted to help people.
You're exactly right. I think I was too nice.
Yeah.
So I began to search jobs as to what did I really want to do. And you hit the nail on the head, Tyler. I wanted to help people, and that's what we do. We provide a very, very unique service where we are helping people and giving people a piece about life, about where they can live, where they lay their head at night. They want to be insect and pest free. So I found Bill Clark Pest Control, and to start out with the company, I had to start at the bottom. I had to go out early morning, late evenings, and treat restaurants and treat hotels and crawl underneath houses and do termite work. I had to do all of that. I had to learn the craft.
Yeah, so you've been from one side of the business to the other.
I literally have, and I did that for about a year where I was a technician, and I did everything. And then an opportunity came up to be in sales, and I jumped on it, because then I was learning the other side of the business to where I could actually communicate the service that I was providing to clients of how we are going to provide it. So I did sales for a long, long time, and I say a long time, for about 10 years, and then the opportunity came to be in management. And I've been a sales manager, and I do handle the marketing side of it as well for good 15 years now, and I'm still helping people.
Yeah.
I still go out in the field when we get busy. I put my uniform on and I go out in the field. I work with the sales guys, and we come up against some crazy stuff, termites suspended in a ceiling on the third floor of a building. Why are they there? How did they get there? And how are we going to get them out?
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but
it's kind of like solving a mystery sometimes.
It really is. And I was saying at the beginning, every day is a different day because we're dealing with something different.
Yeah. And it's like reverse engineering. You're trying to outsmart the pests, figure out how they're getting in, figure out where they're coming from. And I guess you have to advise people structurally, like, we're going to treat this house, but there's also a hole in your wall.
Sure, there's damage, and and we have to structurally, why, how bad is this damage? We're not structural engineers, but we do have contractors that we work real closely with that help us greatly. We work as a team to help our clients and put their homes back together. Their home is their most prized investment, and to have it being eaten down by an insect is quite bothersome, especially an insect that homeowner actually no homeowner's insurance will pay for the repair, damage, or treatment costs caused by subterranean termites.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
They've never heard of it.
Yeah. Do the rodents seem to be more of a nuisance, here in maybe the rural community or cities with subways?
Mice and rats, they're everywhere.
Yeah,
They may be in this building.
probably more
I hope not.
more than humans.
Yeah.
They may outnumber us.
Oh, they do. They do. They on average, they reach, mice and rats combined on average. I mean, they reach sexual maturity at about 3 months of age.
Mm.
A pair of mice can reproduce over 15,000 offspring in a given year.
It sounds like wild hogs.
Oh yeah. The other problem that we're dealing with,
which is a nuisance here,
a bad nuisance. Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't do anything for them.
Yeah,
there's other guys out there that do that.
Yeah. I think the landowners enjoy taking care of them,
don't they? Yeah, it's free food.
Yeah, but yeah, I heard that in New York City, it's estimated there's more rats than there are people.
Yeah.
You can't always see them.
Lots of conditions that are really, really conducive. That subway that you're talking about, it's hot, it's dark. There's lots of places for them to harbor just while they're down there.
Food that gets thrown away.
Sure, yeah. It's just a really, really condition that's very, very conducive to their population and their growth and their sustaining life.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of your hobbies is kind of interesting to me, motocross. As I had dirt bikes when I was in high school, but now I don't really know a whole lot of people that are, that much into motocross on a regular basis, like the racing level and like jumping level.
Oh, yeah.
Except for you and your son, and you are both, that's the two that I know.
So. Yeah. That, is kind of, I guess, genetic for him. When I was younger, I raced bicycle motocross, and I did it for years, and my dad was into it as much as I was into it. He was get up on Saturday mornings or Friday nights. Hey, let's go. We travel some, and we raced, and fast forward in life, and I have a young son that has this energy level that's like crazy, and I see some of his talent coming out on just riding just an everyday bicycle in the streets. I introduced him to bicycle motocross, and honestly, it was some of the funnest times of my life because we traveled a lot.
Yeah, it's something you can do together.
We did a lot. Everything was together, whether we were driving or flying, and we went, and he raced, and he really progressed through the ranks, and he went all the way to the Grand Nationals, which is the greatest race on earth, they call it.
Wow.
It's every Thanksgiving in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And we went up there and he won it, and we'd been several times before where he hadn't won it.
Yeah.
And it was, his objective was to win the thing.
What size bike was he riding?
He's riding a 20-inch, just the 20-inch bicycles that we have.
Uh-huh.
They're very, very specialized now.
Yeah.
They're these things are carbon fiber.
Mm-hmm.
They don't weigh hardly anything.
Yeah.
The wheels are extremely specialized with specialized precision bearings where they roll so freely.
Mm-hmm.
Neat bicycles, really, really neat bicycles. They're not cheap, but it's kind of like any sport. You want to have the best, and
mm-hmm.
you want to be on the best, and I put him on board the best.
Yeah.
So he did that for a long time, and again, we enjoyed it. He rose as high as he could go, and he turned 16. He got a driver's license and started driving, and he put the bicycle aside. It kind of broke my heart because we were really having a lot of fun. Well, during this time, during this time of racing, part of his training regimen was CrossFit, which mm-hmm. is where you met Kyler.
Right.
So he was doing some CrossFit to help his agility, to help his quickness, to better compete in this sport.
Yeah, he still has that energy level that you were talking about.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's only 18 though, so yeah. So he's got that. He did some competitions in CrossFit and kind of mimicked that in the BMX world where we traveled a little bit and went to some different competitions.
Well, here recently he's been coming to the 1130 class, which is previously had the nickname the Old Man Lunch Bunch because it's a bunch of guys that are on their lunch break. They're in their 30s and 40s, and there's not a lot of young people. Usually they're coming later in the evening, 4:35 and on.
Right.
So he's kind of like the youngest guy there. working out with all.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so we're always we're chasing him. He's trying to kind of chase some of the older guys that lift heavier, but he's faster, and it's a really good combination.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. I'm going to talk to him about that this evening.
Yeah. So I saw him yesterday. I told him, I was like, hey, I got your dad on the podcast. And he was like, you know my dad?
Oh,
And
yeah?
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, he's a fun kid. So now he's progressed on to motorcycles. And he's had motorcycles for a long time, but just never really.
And were you into that as well?
Yeah, I had motorcycles growing up too, you know.
But more so the pedal.
More so the bicycles, yeah. So that's where I raced those, and then that's what he's raced. And now he's riding motorcycles even more, and he saved his money and got a brand new one, and here we go again, starting to travel some more. Every weekend we're going somewhere and riding. And
he got a nickname from that sport.
Sure, right? He did. Yeah. His nickname since he was a kid was Biscuit. And I do not know where just day one he was born, I started calling him Biscuit. And besides his grandfather, I think I'm probably the only one that called him Biscuit. Or you may pick with him at the gym if you want to.
Yeah.
When he started racing, we nicknamed him the Flying Biscuit. He jumped a lot. So we call him the Flying Biscuit and had it put on the back of his uniform, and some of the racing community knew him as the Flying Biscuit, you know. So
yeah,
and he's still wearing those uniforms, even riding motorcycles. So
has he gotten to the competitive level on the dirt bikes
yet? Not yet. His mother says no.
Yeah, it's a lot faster.
It's faster and
it's
higher. He flies. He does. He flies, but. You know, I want to keep him healthy. He's looking at a career that hopefully he's going to begin real soon. So, so he's going to stay healthy.
You said he's 18. He's done with high school.
He's finished with high school.
So he's navigating what's the next step.
Exactly. What does he want to be when he grows up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on something that's kind of trending right now of trades versus college? Because college isn't getting any cheaper, and wages. Or stuff's getting more expensive. Wages are probably not increasing as much as the stuff that we have to buy, and some people can make a really good living on a trade.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of that. Like the air conditioning business, or the electrical business, or the plumbing business, the pest control business. Mm-hmm. It's a trade. It's a craft that you have to learn, and become licensed, just like these other entities do. A big one right here in our own backyard is with all the petrochemical expansions and the boom of the petrochemical industry, welding is a humongous trade for people to really grow and make a really good living at. So, hey, you know what? I'm not against college. I think that degree is extremely important, and that degree can crack open some great opportunities for you. But learning a trade, I'm a big proponent of it.
Yeah, for sure. If there's a recession, people aren't going to give up their air conditioner.
No,
down here.
Heck no. It's nice to know how to do those things.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, I always try to tell people that the best case scenario is if you try to narrow down that what you want to do. That way you can go one way or the other. I think you run into problems sometimes when you change about halfway through, go halfway in college, and then you decide you want to do a trade, and then you're kind of going back and forth. And
just talking about Biscuit, not sure what he wants to do in his life, but
when you're 18, 19, you don't know.
Yeah, but since he was 13 years old, he's had a lawn business, and he has about 20 yards. The kid's making some pretty darn good money for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, 9 months out of the year, you have to cut your grass around here.
Exactly.
Sometimes even more.
And people don't want to do it.
No. Yeah.
And this joker, man, he's got it figured out. He's got all of his, not all, but most of his clients on PayPal. He won't do their yard until his PayPal's dinged by them. He got messed over one time. Somebody didn't pay him. So now
that's a service that you can't take back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't put the grass back.
Exactly. The older we get, the less we want to do our own daggum yard. So pay the teenager around the corner to do it. So that's a craft also, But I think learning a trade is extremely important, and we need it. We're a blue collar society in Southeast Texas. Lots of blue collar jobs here. Yeah. There's a shortage of workers. Then we hear them all the time from different things that we go to. People need qualified workers that they can use and train.
Right. Yeah. Skilled labor.
Exactly.
Well, what are some other things you can leave us with? Do you have any certain influencers or books or podcasts or social media gurus that you follow? Where do you draw some of your inspiration from?
Oh wow, I would say probably um, two things, three things. My Lord and Savior has been good to me. Born and raised here, and um, I try to follow and do the right thing, be a man of integrity. Uh, Working for a great company with great people, it's contagious, as I was saying earlier. I believe if you do good things are going to happen to you. It's raising children.
Yeah, I think you guys have been members of the VBB since the very beginning.
Oh yeah, we were a charter member since 1963. Mr. Clark was on board with it. So, doing what you say you're going to do when you're going to do it, and if you can't do it, admit to it and fix it. Yeah, that's pretty much their motto. Right. I might not have said that exactly right, but that's kind of the motto. Yeah. Another inspiration is my wife. This year we'll celebrate our 25th year anniversary.
Oh wow!
I like to say a quarter of a century. It's been pretty cool.
Any advice for making it that long?
Oh, sure, man. It's easy. I tell some of my
how was she able to put up with you for 2.5 decades?
I'll tell you the secret, man. It's three things. Be there for her. That means come home in the evening, listen to her, even when I don't think I really feel like it, and then give her any dadgum thing she wants. Yeah, it's worked.
So quality time, attentiveness, and provider.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Okay. Yeah, it's working. It's going to continue to work.
Yeah, and of course, I just know your son, but you also have
you have two other children. Yeah, I have a 28-year-old. He's grown and on his own and doing great things, and just a good kid, just a good Christian young man. Also have, his name's Kobe, interestingly enough.
Yeah, so Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, his name's Kobe Bryant. Yeah. 28 years ago, he's almost 29.
Yeah, you didn't know who the Kobe Bryant was.
Yeah, I'd have still named him after him because the other Kobe Bryant was a good man also. Yeah. God rest his soul. I have a daughter too that's a senior at Texas A&M. She'll graduate in August with a human resources degree.
And so she picked out the ring yet?
Yeah, she's picked out the ring, and we went and had the
ceremony.
Well, we actually went and took the picture in front of the big ring on campus, and then the ring dunk will come in April, where that's a big thing. I don't understand that tradition, but she says she's participating.
That's a school of lots of traditions.
Yeah, it is. It is. So. Real proud of her. Name's Katie. Real proud of Katie, and things are good. Things are good in the Bryant household.
Yeah, well, glad to hear it. Well, thanks so much for coming on. It's Tuesday. It's the beginning of the week. We've got to get out there and make things happen for the rest of the day, the rest of the week. I know you got a sales team to meet with.
Yes.
So I'm gonna let you get back to that. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with us today.
I enjoyed it, Tyler. Bless your heart.
All right. See you guys later.